Hello and welcome. This is Michael Connell, and I'm here as always with William Linville. Excited today to talk about how we can be okay with uncertainty in our lives. And can you talk a little bit about just the topic of uncertainty in our lives and being more comfortable with it?
It's interesting, right? Because you really have to question within yourself, what is uncertainty? What's what certainty? Because the only thing that's really certain, which is still uncertain, is that you're going to take your next breath. Now, it's not certain. It's technically uncertain. But yet, you really step back and look at that. It could be that. It could be your get up day to day activities, your day to day to dos. It could be routines. It could be the car starting. It could be your partner being by your side. It could be the sun rising, the birds singing. It could be anything. So that's where, you really, really got to question what is certain. Because when I look at that, it really brings us right back now to now through the relevance of now, of really looking at what's going on within you, what's going on around you. Where now we're going into these spaces and places of taking no thing, event, activity for granted, making no assumptions, which is where we really have no option but to be right here, right now, within your body, within your consciousness. And you, as creator, emanating through the physical form. Creator's not male, it's not female. It's an isness. It's a presence that takes us back to who you are, or even brings up who you are. It takes us beyond all belief systems. It takes us beyond all assumptions, all personas, on and on and on. And it reminds me kind of like the whole ideal of a car accident. Well, it's because dear ones aren't present. Otherwise, it would be not called an accident. It would be, if everyone was present, it would be called on purpose. So, and chances are you're not going to run into another car vehicle, dear brother, animal, whatever, whatever. I can tell you, you're not going to when you're present. When you're honoring the relevance of you, the relevance of right here, right now, it takes away the anxiety. It takes away the fear. It takes away the perceivable fear of uncertainty. And it's where we're right here, right now, wide awake, fully alert, emanating right through your heart, which is the centralized vortex in the physical form, which is where your intuition, your psychicism, your heightened astuteness, it's really the core of it all. Let's forget about the third eye and all that fun stuff. Those are interesting mental levels and emotional levels because you're going to see what you're comfortable seeing based in the past relevancy versus what's really here right now. And so now, as we walk through these times, even globally right now, there's a heck of a lot of perceivable uncertainty. But the reality through the heart is that which is not a belief, within the very fabric of your being that all is truly well. It has been, it will be, and it will continue to be because you're not being ran through the mass collective, scattered thoughts of consciousness. You're not mimicking anyone else, anything else. You're really right here, right now, being and becoming oneself without any other preoccupations, any other scatteredness or other scatteredness from others. And we're in your own natural flow, your own natural clarity, your own natural openness, vibrancy. But yet, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because now there is no fear, because fear only exists in the perception of time. It only exists when we look at past, present, and future. But right now, none of that exists. not even the present. Your presence exists. Does that better clarify that, Mr. Macarena?
Yes. And so when we are in our presence in the now, we have such greater ability to address any situation. Like I've heard, when we're more connected to our presence, our brain activity could be so much higher, hitting so much more of the brain, that the clarity of a solution is so much greater.
Exactly. And it reminds me, we'll call them perceivable, miraculous acts, like your car is turned over, rolled over, and your child's locked inside. Well, isn't it interesting? From you being present at that point, time doesn't exist. Thought forms don't exist. The only thing that exists is all the times you've seen a little female structure get out, lift up the car, get their child out of the car. That's not a thought. If you thought about it, you know, well, the car weighs this, and this is that, that's that, it may explode, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, it's not even adrenaline. Adrenaline pumps up in your body, but not out of fear. It's out of you being completely wide awake, fully alert, no longer perceivably identified with what's possible or impossible. You go there, you do it, you're done with it, and everybody wins.
How is it that us as humanity have learned to be so uncomfortable with uncertainty?
It's different for everyone individually, but as a whole, there's all this stuff that's been taught. There's been taught all about boundaries. There's been taught all about keeping a distance from others, protecting yourself, surviving within and throughout yourself. There's all this stuff taught about comfort zones, barriers, all that fun stuff. Now, just for a minute, let's do ourselves a favor. Let's just take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Exhaling as slow as you can. And let's throw all of our perceivable boundaries, all of our perceivable comfort zones, all of the core beliefs like pain is bad, comfort is good, is the point of life is to be undisturbed. Let's just toss all that to the side right now. And let's just take another breath. Let's just, for a moment, just look at everything going on around outside of yourself. Are there cars going by? Are the leaves blowing? Can you hear the sounds of nature, birds, engines, whatever it may be? And right now, you're out of all those barriers. You're out of all the panic, the anxiety, the fight and flight. You're out of pass and fail, good and bad, worthy, not good, not worthy. You're out of guilt. You're out of all those remorses and grievances and all of that. And right now, as we just look, hear, feel all around you, this is where we look at what truly is going on. The stuff that is normally so muffled by all the thought forms, by all the emotions, by all the busyness from the ego. Now that we've stepped back from all of that, let's just feel, even within your body, yourself, through the heart, the solar plexus, creator chakra vortex, the throat, the pineal pituitary gland, the root chakra vortex, the crown chakra vortex, the feet on the floor, the shins, the calves, the thighs, the hamstrings, the buttocks, all the back muscles, as well as the front. Your shoulders, your upper arms, lower arms, the hands, your neck, the back of the brain, midbrain, frontal lobe of the brain, even the weight in the mouth, the weight of the hairs, the weight of the costumes, all the way up through your crown chakra vortex. Now, This is something we can all deem and consider certain, true certainty. You may drop the body eventually, but you're unharmable, you're unshakable. You're not destroyable, you're eternal. It just is what is. Now, as we feel, look, listen, all around you, let's take one physical step forward. I would say that's pretty certain. It's not certain that you'll take another step forward, but you can see right now you've took a step, and we can start feeling a certain level of comfortability as we take another step. And I say you through the body, not just your mind and body. We can walk out the front door of your home. We're going to hear, see, feel more. And I would say it's always going to be different. Even if it all looks the same from the mental level, every nanosecond is different. And so every nanosecond, you're becoming more of you. You're not letting those sounds, noises, thought forms, perceptions, whether you're experiencing emotion or feeling love, you're not allowing for any of it right here, right now, to affect yourself or even letting it affect who you really are or even affect how you feel. And you can take another step as well. Really going and walking upon this big giant planet, which technically is the Garden of Eden as a whole. That's why it's been so difficult for for everyone to find it, because it's right there beneath you. Now, once again, hearing the noises, feeling the feelings of doubt of whatever you're feeling. Let's just take another deep breath in through the nose. And exhaling as slow as you can to where we can just feel more and more of you, your presence, rather than an identity, your presence rather than male, female, and carnivorous or vegetarian. It doesn't really matter. It's that we're feeling you. This right here, it's where it's always the answer to the uncertainty, which is feeling you right here in the relativity of now. Because now, beyond mental gymnastics of the emotional ego structure of the now, we've even stepped back from all of that, or shall I say, we've risen above all of that, to where you start feeling and becoming more and more healthy, whole, and complete, rather than all these head games like later today, tomorrow, the next day, next week, next month. What am I going to do in retirement? Well, none of that exists right now. Let's just all take a breath and let's let all of that stuff take care of itself. Now, as we're here in your presence, let's literally, honestly, with the highest of integrity, ask ourselves, do I want my body to become ill? Yay or nay? Do I want an excuse to not go to work? Yay or nay? Whatever your profession may be, it really doesn't matter. Do I want to feel abundant? Great. Then let's take a breath. And start welcoming in that abundance. One part is within you, back to the heart, opening through every part of your system. Then the other part, the more we're feeling abundant, because we play with unlimitedness and on and on. What that really means is unlimited love, unlimited light, unlimited frequencies, benevolences, omnipotences, expansivenesses. And as we go there more, mark my words, the financiers are going to take care of themselves. With the understanding, though, that you walk through the doors that are presented all around you. You don't judge them, you show up. You don't put up walls, you don't put up boundaries, you don't put up barriers. You pick up your body and you show up. And then the next one's going to present, you show up. And let's skip all these mental egoic made conditionings, because when we go into those and these big giant boundaries and walls and pain is bad, comfort is good, point of life is to be undisturbed. Well, let's skip all that for a moment, because you can feel how polarizing and how small, how tiny, and how heavy and weighted down all of that feels, because it is. Now, let's take it a step further. I'm not saying to accept mistreatment. I'm not saying to accept oddness from others. I'm not saying let's be hijacked, ripped off, whatever. I mean, what I'm saying is, as we go here together, none of that stuff will ever occur again because we're not magnetizingly putting up these walls, barriers, boundaries to protect yourself. You, right here, right now, as you listen, feel, smell, even using all your senses, right here, right now, in the relevance of now, you're free. You're not welcoming that gunk in. You're not trying to play head games. You're not playing what if games. You're really opening up to all that is in the body on the planet. Now, the certainty, when it's all said and done, is you. Uncertainty is based upon the exponential outside world's action, words, and deeds and behaviors. That's really what uncertainty is about. Uncertainty is you opening and opening, but being okay with jumping off the game board, the chessboard, the checkerboard, and walking your walk as you, and watching what unfolds, unveils itself all around you. No longer getting hooked up, my ego versus your ego, my beliefs versus your beliefs, even to the source of war, which all began with battles of religion. It really has never ended. Now it's just battles of religions and egos. My God's bigger than your God. All this hoopla. And I want you to be how I think you should be rather than who you are, and all that hoopla. I think you should do what I say to do when I say to do it, and all that ego hoopla. To where now, at each step we take with our body, even each level of higher states of consciousness, reaching new octaves. And please, I want to be clear, this also affects your physical manifestational world. If you want a promotion, great. Let's bring all of you to work. If you want to move up the corporate ladder, great. Let's bring all of ourselves to work and put our whole heart into it. Because, yeah, there's to-dos to do, but it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with you showing up as you to emanate through the process. Does that better clarify that, Mike?
Yes, thank you.
That's why I use the terminology, well, what if this happens, that happens, that happens? Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. If you're buying into all these projected perceptions of, okay, no, they're going to hurt me and take advantage of me, manage my body. They're going to, I don't know, leave me in alone, strip down in an alley. Okay, well, that's one way you can go. That's one thought processes of what ifs. But now let's really unpolarize it. What if it's the best opportunity ever? What if you go on a beautiful romantic date night? And what if there's just total love present? And what if this is a great opportunity to be fully embraced, loved, acknowledged, and cared about? So if we're going to have the negative, we definitely want to bring the positive because that neutralizes it. Now we can say, show me what is. And I say that because this is where the higher vibratory levels that you achieve just by emanating that radiance, embodying that presence that you are. Now you're going to start being offered more and more, like we'll be offered a doorway right in front of us. And now eventually we'll peek our head in that doorway and say yay or nay. Thank you, but no thank you. We will look at the one on the left. Okay, great. Maybe I'll take that one. Let's jump right in with all of our heart. We'll look at the one on the other side and say, wow, that looks awesome. Let's go. But the thing is we're not denying one for the other. We're going to be presented with more and more opportunities, but now more next, rather than all scattered out and all the pressure to make a choice that will it's kind of funny, making my ego feel better or making my ego feel less. And it's all going to go into an alignment to best complement you. And these are opportunities. These are the unmanifest levels being presented right in front of you. They're coming to mind, they're coming to heart, even physical, literal, physical, tangible opportunities. And now, you as creator, we could put them in a linear fashion, like, okay, I'll do this one next, done, 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 done. Or just focus on the one, and the rest are all going to fall into place in a linear fashion. That's all based in magnetics. So, what I'm saying is, all right, great. Eventually, you're going to be able to skip the lower ones and just go direct without the ego being involved.
And when we notice that we're feeling uncertain, and let's say it's about how to address something with our kids, and there's a few different roadways to go down, how best can we know how or feel how to make the decision?
Number one, a step back from the child. Let's take a breath. And I want to say, because it's very important that you honor they're all individual facets within themselves. So there's no one end all be all direction to go with all of them. Now we step back, just pick one of them. And now let's look, even ask the rest of yourself, looking at the situation little one may be experiencing and so forth and so forth. And now looking at it and say, okay, presence, all of myself, now that we're not trying to fit everyone into the same jar, what would be most beneficial for this little one? What are they going through? What are they encountering? What are they experiencing? Or what are they being faced with? Now, there's not one rhyme, reason, and answer for all the kids, just that one. And this is when we sit with them. We point, we guide, knowing full well that what we're doing, I'm not saying we're going to win a popularity contest. I'm not saying they're going to give you the Mother and Father of the Year gold medallion to put around your neck. But I am saying this is a lot bigger picture. If we're there to be their friend, then we might as well put them up for adoption. If we're there to be a guide, and I'm not denying the friendship, please have a blast as much as you can, but also honor that they're here and you're here to guide them for their highest and best good. Not to be like you, not to be like your ancestors' genealogy, but to be them uniquely, individually.
William, if we're feeling uncertain and there's an uncertainty in our lives and we're feeling anxious and fearful about them, is a certain belief or a judgment at the core of that uncertainty?
Yes, it's the belief and the assumption that you're harmable. It's the belief and assumption that you're victimizable. It's the belief and assumption that you're not safe. It's the belief and assumption that you're not total perfection in your own right. Then it's the belief and assumption that we have to go into action, reaction, survival to function. Now, it's also the assumption that you're on your own and it's you to prove yourself, it's you to sink or swim. All this stuff is on you. And these are big assumptions. So we step back for a minute, and I want to know, not analytically, but literally, why would you be this far along your journey? Why would you be in a body on a planet? Why would you have to walk through all this gunk totally alone? We look at your creator consciousness that many seem to get worked up with, called God. Why would creator put you in a body on a planet to suffer? No, that wouldn't happen. Why would creator put yourself on a planet to not just suffer, but to be all alone to sink or swim? No, that wouldn't happen. Now we just take a breath, connecting with our presence. We can call it your I am that you are. We can call it your creator consciousness, the facet that you are, Allah that you are, on and on and on. The names don't really matter. It's that you are you. And the more that we're embodying, your creator consciousness, that facet of creator that you are, well, this isn't a codependency game, but it is a realistic game and a reality check. We can get into angels, archangels, ascended hosts. We can get into your entourage, dear ones that have been in your life that have been technically angels in the physical, angelic presences. Let's start tuning into that for a moment of how, number one, how not alone you are. Everyone picks up on it in their own way. Everyone feels presences around them in their own way. And some become afraid of them. And all right, some embrace them. Great job. But let's really just take another breath right into our lower tummy with our eyes pointed cross-eyed up in the center. Taking another deep breath into your lower tummy, exhaling like you're attempting to whistle as slow as you can, becoming connected with you and you all the way through the physical embodiment, through the largest organ, which is the skin, to where you can feel rather than think. And now let's go from there into, all right, creator consciousness, all right, universe. The words, once again, are not important. You're invoking the rest of yourself to take command right now. As we're so connected that now we could start, show me that I have support all around me. Show that I have angels, guardian angels. Show that I have an entourage. Showing isn't always in a picture, but it is always in a feeling. Everyone experiences it differently, but it doesn't matter how you experience it. What matters is that you're experiencing it. And where they're able to come forth, because they're already there, that's not the issue. Now we're opening up the doorway to feel even more supportive, but literally be more supportive. So you're not walking around carrying a cross through your life, unless you really love wood.
Thank you, William, for all this wonderful wisdom and clarity and how we can be okay in this uncertain world or with uncertainty.
Anytime, buddy. And I want to add one more thing. This isn't about a sharing. So because there's something to gain, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing to gain except for you. And that's what you have to gain is yourself and more of a life of expressiveness, a life free of pain and suffering. It is you, whether you believe it or not. And my point of sharing all this is I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm asking that you welcome it in and experience and see for yourself.
Thank you, William, and thank you for joining us.